Yes guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be speaking about how to stop being an inconsistent athlete, how to overcome being an inconsistent athlete, because I know so many people struggle with this and we've all seen it at the highest level. Players who should have gone on to have amazing careers ultimately are halted because they weren't able to be consistent. They were inconsistent in their career, and it's rarely ever that they're not good enough. It's just that there's something missing that stops them from being able to be consistent. And what happens there is that consistency is so important because most of the time, the players who go on to have these long, amazing careers are not always even the best players. They're just able to be available. They're able to show up. They're able to be there 24/7. And when you're a player that's consistent, honestly, you cannot lose. It's not always about how good you are. Don't get it twisted. Being a great player will take you very, very far. But if you're not consistent, what does it matter? So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down how to overcome being an inconsistent player so you can step into consistency and you can go on to have the career you actually want. Now, the first thing you have to understand is that you are an inconsistent athlete because you're inconsistent mentally. And what do I mean there is, I mean, you have to understand that all issues in your life are always going to start within you. Nothing externally can have such a burden on you because reality is a mirror and all external burdens first begin within. Now, if you are unable to maintain a certain state of mind, and in football, you have to be able to have a positive state of mind. If you're unable to maintain a state of mind that allows you to play to your best and allows you to do what you need to do, then ultimately you're going to be inconsistent. And that's like me. Through my career, I struggled a lot with being inconsistent because I really struggled to stay in a state of mind where I was on it, where I was able to go, where I was to go train, to go do what I need to do. And my inconsistencies led to me not training well, not recovering well, not eating well. And I was stuck in a cycle of going up and down because I had no balance. I was unable to stay inconsistent. Sorry, I was unable to be consistent because I was so inconsistent. And what that would look like is I'll be doing really, really well. I'll take a knock mentally, and then I'll go back down to where I was before. Eating badly, recovering badly, not training to my best because I wasn't doing the other things I needed to do. And if that is you, then you have to understand that you have to be able to maintain a state of mind where you're able to recover properly, eat properly, train properly, because it all starts with your mind. A lot of players have an off day mentally, and that tumbles into them just losing routine, doing the wrong things. And that is what causes an inconsistent player. I mean, we can look at it in the pro game. Like there's some players that you can look at them and you know that off the pitch they're not doing the right thing. There's so many players that you know they're not doing the right thing. They're not thinking right, and that wrong thinking is leading to them doing the wrong things, meeting the wrong people, going outside, partying when they shouldn't be, eating the wrong foods, drinking, stuff like that. You have to be able to get into a state of mind where you have balance. You're not going too high and you're not going too low. Now, what I want to say there is that obviously being an athlete is mainly physical training, but that is what the average person thinks. The elite player understands that it's mental first, physical after. If you get your mental correct, you cannot lose. You have to really, really understand that. Now, what I want you to do as an athlete is stop relying so much on the physical. Stop trying to out train and outwork a bad mind state, because a lot of people get into a bad state of mind and say, you know what, I'm going to train more, I'm going to do more. And that just leads to you burning out, burning out, burning out. And when you do that and don't get the results that you want, you dip mentally more because you're expecting to win through doing the physical action. But that is not what brings the win. The internal state, the mental state, brings the wins. Now, stop focusing so much on the physical and begin to turn your attention to your mind. Focus on getting to a state that allows you to play to your best of your ability, that allows you to train to the best of your ability, that allows you to do the right things with consistency, that allows you to maintain balance. That's the most important thing. And there's no one shoe fits all for this stuff. I want you to analyze your career so far, yeah, and think about what you were doing when you were at your best. What things do you have to do for you to be in a state that allows you to go and perform at your best, to go train at your best? What state do you have to be in that allows you to do the correct things? Because there is no one shoe fits all. Every player is different. Some players like being chilled and at peace. Some players like being under pressure. But you have to understand what works for you. And I made a video a long time ago on TikTok about understanding your archetype as a player. You have to understand what makes you tick. You have to understand what works for you. And once you find a formula that works for you, utilize that. Stay there and do that over and over again. Maintain that way of living. And you have to, it's going to get boring when you're maintaining a certain way of living and a certain way of being, but that is how you win. Think about the top players, the Ronaldos, all these guys like Haaland who take care of themselves properly. They live a life that can almost seem boring because it's so routine. But if you want to be an athlete that goes to the top, you have to understand what works for you and just do it over and over and over again. And now I'm going to get into universal law. You have to understand that ultimately it's very simple. Your reality is a mirror of your internal state. Whatever you feel deep within you will always manifest outside of yourself. So, and to understand this, you have to understand how the universe works, the nature of the universe. It's not about force and being and strain. A lot of players want to go out there and force it. They want to go train extra hard. They want to do all this crazy stuff. But action is important. But if you're in the wrong state, that will always lead to the wrong outcome. You have to focus on getting into the correct state first. And you don't get into the correct state of being through force, through all this strain. You get in there by peacefully and calmly getting into the correct state of mind. And I'm going to get onto that as the video goes on. Now, what I want you to do is to begin thinking of yourself as the player that you want to be. Think of yourself as the ideal player that you want to be. That could be playing in the Prem. That could be Champions League football, World Cup football, whatever it is you want to be, just seeing yourself as the best. I want you to think about how you would feel if you were already there. What would you think if you were already there? What would you believe in if you were already there? What would you believe about yourself if you were already there? What would you believe about football if you were already there? All the beliefs and the thinking and the feeling that you know you would have if you were already the player you wanted to be today, you have to step into those shoes now and live as that player. That is the key to staying consistent, because what goes on is that you're inconsistent because you allow the external to dictate how you feel. For example, you play really good and then you feel good about yourself, but then you have a bad game and you feel bad about yourself. You have no foundation of who you are. You have no foundation for state of mind. That is why you allow the external to dictate who you are. And if you allow the external to dictate who you are, that will always lead to inconsistency, because reality is never going to be consistent. If you're relying on the external reality to bring you any kind of fulfillment, you're never going to be fulfilled, because the nature of reality has ups and downs. The tide must go in and out. There must be light, there must be dark. There must be ups to have downs. There must be good to be bad. Do you understand that? There has to be the both of them. But the only thing you can do through all of that is control your internal state. If you're consistent internally, you will always be consistent externally. That is how you go on to win. You have to work on your internal state. And these are the exact things I work on with my clients. I've had players from the Prem down to League Two, players playing in Europe, and now even players in Canada working with me to get their internal state right so they can go on to win and tap into their true potential. And if you're a professional footballer who wants to tap into their true potential by mastering themselves and mastering their internal state, DM me on Instagram and we'll definitely get to work. But yeah, consistency internally is the most important thing. You must be consistent with who you are. Because when you are in the correct state, naturally you're going to do the right things. Naturally, you're going to know what to do. That is how it goes. So you have to understand that when you're maintaining the correct internal state, you are then going to see reality unfold in the way you want it to unfold. Because when you're in the wrong state, you're always going to attract the wrong things, the wrong situations, the wrong opportunities. You're not going to play well. You're not going to feel good. But when you're in the correct state, due to the fact that reality is a mirror, you're going to begin attracting the correct things, the right opportunities, the right coaches, the right people around you. That could be the correct agent, stuff like that. You're going to feel good, so you're going to play good. That's going to lead to a better career, more opportunities, all this stuff. You have to get into the correct state because reality unfolds from you. You are the dictator of your own life. Reality listens to you unless you have no consistency within. That is where reality will take control of you, and that is how you're going to be inconsistent in your career. But if you can get to a state where you can maintain it, trust me, you'll be flying. The most important thing you need to do is maintain your internal state. Please listen to me. That is the most important thing. And if you want help with this stuff, just message me and we'll get to work. Trust me, you're going to see massive differences. Massive differences, honestly. Now, one of the most important reasons why you have to maintain a certain state is because you have to understand how your subconscious mind works. If you can plant certain seeds in your subconscious mind and you can maintain them for long enough, like I was saying before, the belief, the correct thinking, the correct feeling, all those things, if you can maintain those for long enough, reality will change because that is a universal law. That is how reality works. And the thing about the subconscious mind is that the subconscious mind doesn't care for what is true or false. It cares for what is. So if you're able to plant certain seeds in your mind with conviction and you can maintain them for long enough, reality will change because reality unfolds from your mind. We all know players who are not that great at football. They're not the greatest, but they have such a strong sense of self and they believe in themselves so much that it almost seems delusional. But that very conviction they have in themselves is what allows them to have the career they have. We all know players like this. I know we all know players like this. Players who weren't the best, but because they truly believed in themselves, they go on to have the best outcomes, even better outcomes than players that were better than them. Because what's more important than being amazing at football is having an amazing internal state. If you can have a very strong internal state and you can maintain it for long enough, you're gonna win, man. Like you can't lose like that. You can't lose. You're gonna know what to do. You're gonna know how to overcome hurdles. You're gonna know how to overcome inconsistency. You're going to know what to do all the time. That's not me saying that things won't go wrong. No. But you're going to know how to overcome them with ease, with smoothness, with peace. That is the goal. You can't stop the bad things from happening, but you can always control your reaction to things and how you overcome things. That's the only difference between a player that's consistent and inconsistent. A player that's consistent can overcome the hurdles a lot quicker than a player that is inconsistent, because all players go through hurdles, all players go through obstacles. It's inevitable. That's the way football is. So yeah, the main thing is being the player that you want to be today. Stop waiting. Stop waiting for permission to be this person. Stop waiting for reality to show you something. Stop waiting for validation from managers, people around you, fans. Be the person you want to be today. Be the player you want to be today. Matter of fact, get a notebook right now and write down, this is who I am now. And begin listing how you would think if you were the player that you wanted to be. How would you think? Then write down what you would believe. What would you believe about yourself? What would you believe about football? What would you believe about what you can achieve? Then write down, what thoughts would you give power to? If you had negative thoughts, would you listen to them, or would you brush them and maintain that strong way of thinking? What would you do? What would you do? Think about it right now. How would you feel if you were the player that you wanted to be today? How would you think? What would you believe? How would you feel? What would you believe is true about yourself? What would you believe is true about football? Is football hard? Is it tough? Is getting to the top hard? Or would it be easy if you were the player that you wanted to be? Would it be a smooth journey? Would you know you can achieve what you want? It's all these small things that lead to winning. And these are the most important things. Become the player that you want to be today. Because you have to understand that when you are in the correct mind frame and mind state, you're going to get the correct mental nudges. And what I mean there is that you're going to get ideas that lead you to doing the right things, that lead you to success, because you're in the correct state. You're going to have clarity on what moves to make. You're not going to be confused because you're already in the correct state of mind. So you're going to know what to do and what not to do. And once you can maintain it, like I say, once you can maintain it, reality will begin to align with you. The reason you have chaos and inconsistency in your life and in your career is because you're inconsistent and chaotic within yourself. If you're able to maintain a certain state for long enough, reality has to align with you. And that means that reality will bring you what you want. Like I said before, opportunities, people, situations, and scenarios will begin to align with your internal state. And on top of that, because you're in the correct state, you're going to be playing better. Even if you don't play well, you're going to be able to overcome those hurdles a lot quicker than you would have if you were not in the correct state. So always focus on being in the correct state. Don't focus so much on the physical training. Of course, it's needed, but if you're in the correct state first, you're always going to take the correct action. That is how it goes. And if you truly want help with this and you're serious about getting to the top and tapping into your true potential, message me on Instagram at T9LevUp and we'll definitely get to work. Peace.